Well, the new Daredevil Born Again trailer just recently dropped, and we were able to get a little sneak peek at a couple new interesting characters that has the potential to make the series a lot more entertaining, and that might give us a little more insight into the potential plot for the series. Like and subscribe for more videos. These new characters are named Muse and White Tiger, respectively. This video is essentially going to give you a detailed rundown of the history and abilities of these characters to better understand what this might mean for the upcoming Daredevil series. Muse. Muse was a mysterious and deranged artist whose gruesome work of art was discovered after he anonymously sent the vigilante Blindspot the address of the warehouse in Washington Heights, where he planted the art. The work consisted of a mural painting with the blood from over 100 different missing people. A few weeks later, he defaced the mural and replaced most of it with the phrase, "You're only as good as your last performance," followed by a new address that directed the police to a vacant building. Inside one of the floors, Muse had planted the corpses of 6 Inhumans he had previously abducted, posing them with props as if they were performing mundane tasks. So right off the bat, we already know that Muse is probably going to be one of the main antagonists. Wilson Fisk still seems pretty villainous, but it seems like Matt and him have this kind of verbal and public relationship now. Matt Murdock, who was one of the people that discovered Muse's second artwork, sensed Muse's presence in the distance, witnessing as people unveiled his new artwork for the first time. So he left the scene to change into his skin-tight suit and confront the villain. However, Muse did drive him off using a dummy grenade and made his escape. During his first public appearance, Muse attacked a courtroom and kidnapped Judge Laird, who had been presented by Councilwoman Andrea Pearson with a case to shut down public access to the location of his blood mural. Muse took the judge to the sewers, where he had also abducted Pearson and 2 police officers, and planned to use all of them for a new work of art. Blindspot, who had witnessed the judge's kidnapping, followed Muse and caught his attention. Muse chased Blindspot deeper into the sewers, but Blindspot used his suit's camouflaging abilities to distract Muse and return to the victims to tie them off and escort them to safety. Blindspot tried to lead Muse away again, but his suit ran out of batteries, and Muse captured him. I'm sorry, but I just love that Blindspot's suit requires batteries to run. Usually in these comics, if they need something to run, they use some sort of like alien jelly or some energon crystals from the planet Beelzebub. But this is not like Blindspot. He takes the energy the old-fashioned way, and I respect that. Muse took Blindspot to his place, and while he was deciding what to do with him, Daredevil arrived, having tracked him down with his senses. Muse gouged Blindspot's eyes out with his fingers and escaped. On his way out, he passed by a room where all the missing people used in his mural were hanging from the ceiling, being drained of their blood. And they were still alive. He cut the ropes that were hanging them to distract Daredevil and save time, but he was stopped on the rooftop by Inhuman authorities, who had been assisting Daredevil in investigating Muse due to the crimes against Inhumans. Just so you know, the Inhumans are basically a new race of humans that were genetically engineered by the Kree. The Kree is just a group of extraterrestrial beings that are far more advanced than humans are. Daredevil caught up with them once Muse had been cuffed. Having noticed Daredevil's intentions, Muse broke his own fingers, stating that's what Daredevil would have wanted, for him to be unable to create more works of art. After Daredevil took off Muse's mask, the villain was taken away. Muse was subsequently imprisoned at the high security detention level of New Atalan. His hands did heal eventually. So what we know about Muse so far is that he is an absolute psychopath, breaking his fingers just to make a point, having his still breathing victims dangling like it's the meat locker scene from Rocky. This is clearly the type of guy that you just don't want to underestimate. Following the election of Wilson Fisk as mayor of New York City and his implementation of strict anti-vigilante policies, Muse became inspired by Daredevil's continued fight for justice in spite of the persecution and decided to escape, killing 12 guards in the process. He went on to vandalize numerous landmarks of Manhattan, with giant-sized graffiti that couldn't be removed. A group of police officers intercepted Muse when he was finishing a mural of the Punisher. Muse absolutely annihilated them and enhanced his graffiti with their bodies. Mayor Fisk used the tragedy to push his anti-vigilantism agenda by blaming the Punisher for it. This reveals a lot of potential storylines for the new series to follow. For starters, the Kingpin is probably going to become the mayor of New York City and make Daredevil public enemy #1. It also smells pretty ironic in here. Muse decides to escape prison because he was influenced by Daredevil, who is the very person who was trying to keep him locked away. I think this would be a very interesting plot point for the series. Having regained his sight due to the intervention of the Hand, Blindspot decided to confront Muse on his own. He defaced one of Muse's murals to lure him out of the shadows, and they just started brawling it out. When Muse overpowered Blindspot, he was briefly taken over by the power of the Hand's beast, and Muse was defeated. However, he refused to kill him. In response, Muse walked into a burning pile of debris, complaining that it was supposed to be his own story and not Blindspot's. He did succumb to the fire, using his final words to lament because he had, quote unquote, so much beauty left. Well, that ends the story of Muse in the comics. I don't think this is entirely how the series will play it out, but this is a good starting place to understand what his potential might be for the future of the MCU. Muse also has one power in particular that is quite unique. Muse's body acts like a vortex, which can pull in every bit of sensory information around him, making even Daredevil's enhanced senses hard to target him. It is also said that he has superhuman strength, superhuman speed, and Muse appears to be an extremely agile and efficient combatant, being able to defeat a gang of 6 armored men lightning fast. I'm very curious to see how they might portray his abilities in this series, especially his sensory information ability. White Tiger. Hector Ayala was born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He later came to New York City and attended college at Empire State University. It was at ESU where he found the tiger amulets that had been discarded by the Sons of the Tiger. By wearing all 3 of the Jade Tiger amulets, Ayala discovered that he could transform into the superhuman White Tiger. In this form, Ayala possessed enhanced strength and almost superhuman ability in the martial arts. So basically, he's just a Mexican version of the Black Panther, except instead of drinking a potion to have his powers permanently, he has to wear all 3 of these amulets to gain his powers, and anyone can swipe that off, if you're lightning fast. Muse does have superhuman speed, so it's quite likely that he might be able to take these amulets off him in the series. And if that happens, you heard it here first. The beginnings of his superhero career were difficult. He first became a suspect in the death of young Manuel Lopez and was attacked by the Prowler, who wanted to avenge his death. When he was confronted by Detective Sergeant D'Angelo about Manuel's disappearance, he revealed his identity to them. After fighting off an attack by mercenaries trying to kidnap Jack of Hearts, the Tiger assisted D'Angelo and Blackbird in bringing down the corporation, secretly led by his own brother, Filippo. During the final battle, they received assistance from the Iron Fist and Shang-Chi, who had been contacted by Blackbird. Hector enrolled in the Empire State University, becoming close friends with Peter Parker, as well as becoming occasional crime-fighting partners with his alter ego Spider-Man. During a fight with Spider-Man's enemy Lightmaster, Hector's identity as the White Tiger was made public in a live broadcast. This incident had serious consequences for Hector later on, since a maniac named Gideon Mace targeted the Tiger's family. Hector's parents and other family members were killed in a massacre by Mace. Emotionally exhausted by the ordeal, Hector gave up his life as the White Tiger and retired from superheroics. If you think that's where his journey ends, then you better think again, Buster Brown. And if you were even remotely wondering why this backstory makes any sense compared to the Daredevil story, then just give me a second, all right? It's coming. Hector just could not resist the power of the amulets, so he put them back on to continue his crime-fighting endeavors. Soon after this, Hector was wrongfully arrested for murder and convicted despite the efforts of lawyer Matt Murdock. Ayala was shot dead trying to escape, and this was right before evidence emerged that proved his innocence. You know, that's really too bad. He seems like a really nice guy. But every time he tries to help, he just gets super ultimate shafted by every decision he makes. He was accused of murder twice, with the second one costing his life, and his identity was exposed, causing this Mace guy to just annihilate his entire family. And he really should have just stopped there, because it seems like crime fighting isn't really his cup of tea. His abilities include enhanced strength, enhanced speed, enhanced durability, enhanced agility, enhanced stamina. He can also heal really fast by placing the amulets on the wounded area of his body. And he has enhanced senses. He also gains knowledge from the amulets themselves that grants him martial arts abilities. Bringing these 2 characters into the MCU should make things a lot more interesting. I'm still not really sure how they're going to use White Tiger yet, since his backstory doesn't really have much daredevilry in it. But I don't think they'll give him an origin story though. I think they'll just plop him in the story all powered up and ready to go, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Swap your thoughts in the comments below on which of these characters you are more excited to see in live action. I've swapped my thoughts, and if you want to see my thoughts on the 10 most anticipated sci-fi fantasy movies of 2025, then click right up here, and I'll see you on the other side.